Okay, I am back. I adjusted a couple settings and removed my webcam to see if we can get rid of all of that lag. So the stream health is up and perfect for you guys. I apologize for the little slow start there to get all of the settings working perfectly fine, but I think that this will be doable now. And I apologize that you can't see me. 2 seconds ago you could. I definitely have the hat on, so don't worry about it. But again, I just want to optimize the stream health for everybody. So let's get right into this. Let's go to the Bitcoin chart. Everybody's wondering when moon, quote, quote. And I tell you soon. I tell you very soon. I mean, it's been quite the correction. A lot of people have been shooken out. A lot of people don't believe in cryptocurrency anymore. This happens every single time that Bitcoin has ever had a correction since the beginning of its creation. If you go look back in the past and see how the forums on Reddit reacted or on the Bitcoin Talk forums, all the people that have really been in the crypto space for a long time know that every single time Bitcoin drops in value, a bunch of people hate it, a bunch of people think it's dead, a bunch of people think crypto's dead, and it always recovers. And that's just because it's a cycle, and I talk about this in every single one of my YouTube videos, that humans get way too excited about stuff, and then they get way too hateful towards stuff as well. So that when it's down, they really don't like it, they think that it's the worst thing ever, and most people are too scared to invest. And that's exactly why it's such a good opportunity, is because only the smart people that take the time to learn all of this information buy at the right times, which is when everybody's scared, right? So we did complete an ABC correction in the beginning of the year. I've been saying how I think that 6,000 is the bottom in place since we made that bottom. And I'm holding true to that prediction that 6,000 is the bottom for Bitcoin. And I expect us to be making an impulsive move or a three-wave very soon. And I talked about in my last live stream how we should find some support below 8,000. And it looks like we found support directly at 7,000. 7,000 is a rounded number, so it's actually a very likelihood of holding as support. Very high likelihood. If you know anything about rounded numbers, the crypto market reacts pretty strongly to them. Our top was exactly at 20,000, at least on BitMEX it was at 20,000, so I'm considering it to be the top. And you know, we've had the crypto market react to psychological rounded numbers quite a bit in its past. 3,000 was also the local top back in 2017 before we had the June and July correction in 2017. And then 5,000 was the short-term top right after that. So the crypto market reacts to psychological numbers very strongly, as do most markets. The stock market does, any market in the world actually. And the reason for this is because humans set their sell orders on rounded numbers because it's really easy to type in. And what's interestingly enough is if you do testing on markets, so you have a computer go through and find all the areas where it finds support or finds resistance, you'll find that rounded numbers are very, very high probability they get hit a lot in markets. So it's important to stay, open-minded to those and take note of them when they pop up. So here's one at 7,000 that I was just showing you. And so I'm expecting that to be a short-term bottom for Bitcoin. Now, according to my wave analysis, we should be starting a three-wave. And when I do this TA for you guys, I'm just showing you the direction in which the market is headed. My goal here isn't to give you exact targets or tell you where to buy and where to sell. I'm trying to teach you the psychology behind what's happening so that you can apply it to your own trading. If you do want the exact buy and sell signals, again, you can wait till the end of this live stream to get a discount on my VIP course, and that will give you exact signals given prices to sell and buy. But I'm trying to teach you guys in these streams, that's the goal of these live streams, is to allow you to learn and then allow you to get some comfort, because I know a lot of you have holdings and it can be very concerning when the prices are dropping and you want to know what's happening and what to expect. So that's the purpose of these streams. It's not to give you exact price projections. With that being said, I will say that I'm expecting a 3-wave, and again, I'm not going to drop where this 3-wave stops, but just understand that it will need to head towards resistance that the market has seen in the past. So that means that a lot of buying should happen very quickly now, especially when we break out of resistance lines. So if we take a resistance line and draw from this point right here at 12,800 down to the resistance at 9,900, and then if you take another resistance line and draw down from the 2 highs that we made previously, you'll see firstly that we broke out of major downtrending resistance. So the steep resistance that was formed between 20,000 and 17,000 has already been broken out of. So that means price has rallied above that resistance line. They did that when they met 11,600 per coin. And then they fell back down to it as support, actually. That happens often when a breakout occurs at a major resistance. It will often come back to find support at it. So once we can get above this major resistance, really between the range of 8,700 and 8,000 per coin, we're expecting to see a lot of impulsive movement happening. So do you remember the kind of energy in the space when we were selling off right here from 17,000 down to 6? It was very, very impulsive. People got scared. They made a lot of emotional decisions very quickly. They sold, and they got caught up in the emotion. That's impulsing. We call that impulsing, or a pump or a dump, right? It's when humans get so emotionally attached to the direction it's heading that they all make quick decisions based on that. So when it went from 17 to 6, that was a fear emotion. It was just pure fear in the markets. You know, the majority of people in the market that didn't take profits when we were overvalued were getting scared, and more scared. And as they got more scared, they sold more and more and more. And that's what causes the prices to drop like that. Now, just as quickly as this went from 17 down to 6, when this breaks out, I'm expecting it to make a move on the upside, just as impulsive or just as emotionally charged. So once we really start to break out here, we can expect buying to be pushing in a kind of symmetrical manner here, where it bounces up really hard, especially once that resistance is broken, and sees impulsing on the upside. Emotional buying, right? So we're going to see a lot of buy orders fill very quickly. Now, I will say that anything is possible in this market. So if for some reason that we saw support failure between the 6,000 and 7,200 levels, see how we've been making higher lows right here? I'm expecting this to be the bottom at 6,000, and I hold true to that prediction. But as a technical analyst, you have to be open to all possibilities and options. And so if support really can't hold between the 7,200 range and the 6,000 range, then we could expect a retest of maybe 4,600 or the 5,000 levels for Bitcoin. So just be aware of that, because if support fails, you'll want to take a little bit of your money off the sidelines and sell it out, and then buy the dip again when you get closer to the $5,000 levels, just to be aware of that potential outcome. Now again, trading is about betting your money on what's the most likely, and so I'm betting my money on what's the most likely, and so long as the support is holding, and it is currently pretty well actually, then I'm going to be keeping my money in long positions, right? Because you can buy between 6,400 and 7,200, set a very, very tight stop loss, because if support fails, then you know the market's going to go lower. So it's a very smart trade to be taking positions right now long on the market, because you have a tight stop loss and a good risk to reward, meaning that if it goes as planned, you're expecting a lot of upward movement, and if it doesn't go as planned, you get out quickly and you can let the market correct so you can buy the dip later. So that's called risk to reward in trading, and right now you have a really, really good risk to reward ratio to be buying. So it is making a bit of a symmetrical triangle. I'm sure a lot of people A lot of you have seen this on TradingView and on Twitter. If you follow other technical analysts, a lot of people have been pointing out this symmetrical triangle, which is a very, very good pattern to be seeing. It's just a consolidation pattern. Now, something to note about symmetrical triangles is until it has a clear break, meaning until it actually starts impulsing out or above or below the triangle, it's an even playing field. So that means that neither buyers or sellers are winning. They're equally fighting each other in a symmetrical triangle. That's why there's the same amount of sellers come down, an equal amount of buyers come out, a little bit less, and it's anybody's game, right? It's moving sideways and inward. So once it breaks, then you can expect impulsing, like I was saying earlier, emotional decisions. Humans will start making a lot of emotional decisions very quickly. Then you can expect it to move up or down depending on where it breaks from. So in this case, if the market breaks above those resistance levels that we're pointing out, you can expect a lot of impulsing upwards to happen because it will be confirmed as a bullish symmetrical triangle pattern. But symmetrical triangles, again, because they're both evenly distributed, the movement is evenly happening. It's anybody's game until either sellers or buyers win, as you could say, or a clear break happens and prices go up or below the support or the resistance line drawn in the triangle. Okay, let me just remove this out of the way. But I personally believe this to have a high probability of being a bullish symmetrical triangle due to the fact that we had a perfect ABC correction from 20,000 down to 6. So that leaves the market having a very high likelihood, very high likelihood of bottom in place. It's statistically probable to have the bottom in place at 6,000 due to the ABC correction fractal, or the cycle of emotions that happened on the way down. So I think that this is a very high likelihood of playing out to be a bullish triangle, especially once it breaks out. But, just keeping an open mind is an important aspect of trading. So you do want to be aware that if that bear break happens, it could take us to 5. But I see that as highly unlikely. So I don't want you to be selling any coins down here. Only sell if support breaks. If support fails, then yeah, take a little bit of your money. Never go 100% out or 100% in on anything, because that's just bad trading decisions. But if there's a support failure, then yeah, you can take a little bit of tether on the sidelines, wait out, and be on the side of the market so that you can let it do its thing and then get back in. Again, never with all of it, and always have an investing portfolio aside from your trading portfolio that you never touch so that you don't play the swings. You just let it play the full market cycles as it goes. But in your trading portfolio, yeah, you can take some away if there's a support failure. But right now, you need to be thinking like a buyer, because that's what the market is setting up from a pattern perspective. So the patterns are saying buying. And I know there's a ton of FUD out there. And I don't care what article you send me, whether it's people dumping coins onto the market every 6th of the month, or whether it's the fact that the government wants to regulate cryptocurrency all the way down, so they're going to make it go to 1,000 per coin or lower. I don't care what FUD article you send me or tell me. They're all BS. They're all BS. They really are. If the article is designed to make you be fearful of your holdings, and it's really easy to read once you think in the perspective of, is this article designed to be a FUD article or not? When you read the article and it tries to make you scared of your investment and scared of your position in that investment, whether you're a holder, whether you're long for even, just a short-term trade, if the article is clearly designed to make you panic sell or make you scared of holding, it's FUD. And so many articles are coming out in the cryptocurrency space right now that are deliberately designed to make people scared of holding their investments. And it's just, you know, it's the way that it happens. So I'm just out here to help educate you, to avoid believing those, to be mindful of when you're reading cryptocurrency news. I'm not saying you can't read any news at all. I'm just telling you to avoid FUD articles. And I personally don't read any news at all. I stay up to date in the space. I went to Consensus, so I like to be part of the community and see what's happening in it. But I personally try to avoid news, especially like FUD articles and even like real world news, like aside from cryptocurrency, just because a lot of it, unless you're coming from a really good sources, really good news sources, which those are rare, most of it's just BS, you know, most of it's just advertisements and psychology. They're trying to get you to think something or believe something. So it's smarter to just find your own ideas, educate yourself, and avoid a lot of the news out there in the space. So Bitcoin is going up, you guys. I'm expecting a bull break out of this triangle, very likely. And when it starts impulsing, it's going to impulse hard because this has been a long accumulation process. Accumulation meaning that people that understand big picture what is happening keep buying little bits and buying little bits and buying little bits as the prices drop because they understand that it's going to return in its cycle. So everything is as planned. I still expect Bitcoin to be heading towards 100,000 this year. We might not get exactly to 100,000 as I originally predicted in the beginning of the year, but I'm still holding true to my projection and my prediction in price, and also expecting it to be very quick once it rallies. So again, once we start to break out of these resistance lines, the impulsing is going to happen fast. Remember how bad, you know, again, from 17 down to 6, how that was just very impulsive and emotional. If you take that arrow and you flip it back the other way, when this breaks out, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to be impulsive and emotional. And then when this really does break all-time highs again, it's going to be parabolic. So there's no telling how quick it will happen or exactly how fast, but it will. And the market cycle in the chart is painting it perfectly. This looks beautiful. It looks like a lot of stocks that back in the day, like early Apple stocks. If you go look at like Apple way back in the day and do TA on it, you'll find that it looks exactly the same as Bitcoin today. And same with like Amazon. All these stocks back in the day did these little hype cycles, then they corrected and everybody thought they were dead. Everybody thought they were ruined and that nobody would have a use for them. And they always come back. And that's because there's a demand for cryptocurrency. So as long as the demand is here, the prices go up, even if short term they sell off. So that's my rant on Bitcoin. Moon is coming soon. All the hodlers, keep on hodling. You're doing a good job. Hold true to these investments. Understand the cycles. Allow the space to develop itself. Allow it to mature itself. There's been a lot of market maturity happening right now. A lot of shitcoins dying off and a lot of real projects with real world use cases coming up and starting to get paid attention to, you know, like even co-founder of YouTube is releasing projects right now. And so there's just lots of big names coming in. This is exactly what I told you. There would be a first sell-off, right? The market would sell off. And if you go look back at my videos in the spring, right, in January, I start to talk about how the market is short-term overvalued, especially when Bitcoin had a support failure at 13,000 and went down to 10. All the altcoins, it was just so obvious that everything was short-term overvalued and that we'd need to have a first sell-off. That allows institutional investors to get in. So I will look at this chart again because I always pull it up in these streams. And let me just see how the chat's going. It looks like everybody is... Mr. Fenderbender, go watch my videos in January when I tell you everything's short-term overvalued. You can't say that I've been wrong for months when I told you everything was going to correct in January. So that is not a valid argument, man. Leisure, ABC corrections, 76% probability of happening. I don't care if it's a bull market or a bear market or what market or who defines it or who calls it what. If there's an ABC correction, you have a 70% chance that it's going to go up from there. So just take it for what it's worth. It does every bubble cycle ever. If you go look at Cisco, right? This was the Bitcoin of the internet bubble, right? This was a stock that just, for 10 years did the exact same thing that Bitcoin did. Look at this. Do you see this chart? Does that look familiar to you? That's Bitcoin. It's the same chart, except this one took 10 years to do what Bitcoin only took a year to do. And if you look at this chart, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave, just like what Bitcoin did. I can point out the same wave structure in just a second, and an A, B, C correction. And look, this market's already rallying again. This one, of course, it took 10 years to play this market cycle out. Bitcoin was a smaller fractal, meaning that it's going to take less time for it to recover because it took less time for it to pump. So it's just a quicker fractal of human emotion. But this right here, this is a prime example of how an ABC correction leads to a recovery, and this market is headed up towards new highs again. And we can look at the Bitcoin market, and we can go back and we can pull up the Bitcoin Bitfinex chart. And let me just show you what happened on the 3-day candlesticks. See, that looks exactly the same. Now Bitcoin, due to how bullish this is, went a lot more parabolic, meaning that it looks like it's going more straight up, right? And that just means that people got more excited. They got a little bit more excited than they did in the internet bubble. And it's just because humans, they're ridiculous sometimes. They get way excited about stuff. Now, do you see what happens here? A, B, C correction. This is the exact same chart as Cisco. And again, if you compare this current Bitcoin dollar market cycle chart to the way that Apple looked before it did its bull run, before it went 1,700% on the upside, they look identical. So every single technical aspect of this trade is proving to be bullish. Now, when I tell you that the market's going up and it's in a corrective phase, like in my previous streams, I've told you that the market is bullish, right? Even though we're in a corrective phase, I'm talking big picture. I'm not talking what's happening next week. We're getting close. Nobody knows exactly when this breakout's going to happen, and anybody that says they do is lying. We're getting close. But until it actually has a breakout, that's when the impulsing starts happening. But we are still in a bullish market, big picture. So when I say that we're in a bull market in these streams, don't expect it to happen next week. It might, and we're getting really close, like I'm saying. So it's going to happen soon. But be aware that there's lots of time that it takes for these cycles to play out. So I'm saying big picture, we're bullish, and anybody that knows anything about technical analysis can look at this chart, and anybody that knows anything about market cycles can look at this chart. And once you start to educate yourself on this, you'll see what I see, and it's very agreeable that this is bullish from here. So, market cycle. Let's go to the images chart. You guys need to learn some flippin' patience, by the way. Just a little rant on a side note. For the people that can't handle a little bit of a correction for a few months. And by the way, yes, this was a 50% plus correction in total market value. I'm aware of the percentages. I know how much money was lost and how much was made. If you were following me, you probably got signals to sell in my VIP area. I posted signals to sell on a lot of these coins. And if you watch my channel, again, go back in January and watch my videos. In January, once support had that failure, I told everybody the altcoin market were in a bull trap. I said Ethereum was in a bull trap. You can watch the videos and see everything was in a bull trap at the time. So I understand the magnitude of a correction. So I'm not saying like, I'm not like trying to down and push away the fact that people lost money. I'm aware of that. In fact, I'm very aware of that because I'm a trader, so I understand these cycles very well. But I am saying that you need to have some guts. You need to be able to admit where you went wrong, understand that you didn't take enough profits in the bull run, or you got in too late, and, you know, go from there. Try to learn from where you're at today. Set some goals for yourself. Reverse engineer the problem. If you need to get really good at technical analysis, do 3 charts a day. You know, figure out how much effort it's going to take daily for you to get where you want to be 1 year from today. You know, just have the goal-oriented mind. Be willing to admit your mistakes if you didn't take enough profit or if you got in too late in the market, and try to learn from what you can. And the best thing to do is to accumulate in high times of greed, and to average out in accumulate in high times of panic, and average out in high times of greed. It's actually pretty simple. And if you play the big cycles and stop worrying about what's happening this week and what's happening about next week, and worry about what's happening 2 or 3 months from now, or even 4 to 5 months from now, then you'll start to get a higher statistical edge on the market. So more of your predictions will be right. You'll make less mistakes. There'll be less emotional charge in every decision, and you won't be sitting there looking at the price every single day and wondering what's going to happen to your investments, you know. So yeah, this is a market cycle chart that I like to point out. Bitcoin has already done, you can see that there's an ABC correction in this chart here, ABC. Bitcoin has already done the despair phase of its market cycle. We already went through the media attention and the new paradigm all through last year and the beginning of the year. And we're back at the beginning of this market cycle chart. So when a market cycle completes, when you hit the despair phase, another one starts. So that means that we are in the first sell-off, or the bear trap of the next market cycle. So we're expecting another media attention, greed, new paradigm phase to happen between now and 2019, and possibly a little bit longer than that. But at least for the next year, I'm bullish on Bitcoin and crypto and the whole market capitalization. Mainly, you know, the coins that are doing good volume right now, those are the ones I'm really paying attention to predominantly. But based on market cycles, institutional investors needed a sell-off to happen so that they could have cheap prices to put institutional money in. So that's what's happening currently. That's why the chart has been if you look on the smaller time frames, that's why the volatility has been so high on smaller time frames. Institutions are getting in, bot traders are getting in, so the smaller time frames are getting harder to trade, so I avoid those, stick to the bigger picture moves. And it's just the market is really developing as a whole. It's actually being more mature than it was previously. It's actually a good thing to have this type of a sell-off. So, all right. I said a healthy correction, and that's exactly what happened. You have to understand that we will keep going back up again towards the end of this year. And I did say that a healthy correction was needed. And that's what's happened. And one man's sell-off is another man's correction. Or one man's major sell-off is another man's correction. If you understand that corrections happen in the market and that they will return to normal, just because it didn't happen a month after I said that, doesn't mean that I was wrong. I'm right in saying that we needed a correction. And, again, go back in January and watch those videos. I say that everything is short-term overvalued. And it has been correcting. Just because it didn't 1 month after I made that video go back up again doesn't mean that it still won't. That just means that the correction is currently happening in the markets. So maybe you just misunderstood me when I said that. But when I say a correction is happening, that means that it's time to accumulate. It's time to average in. Don't go all in at once, but average into the market. buy in as it goes down, because that correction will be recovered by buying. You don't know exactly when it happens. You know, as a trader, you don't want to try to predict exact days that things happen. You just want the prices that they happen to be a better indicator of whether you should buy or sell, right? So my price projection for Bitcoin is 100,000 per coin. I still expect it to go to those levels. When it happens, it should happen very quickly, especially as we start to trend upwards again and start to break resistance levels. But you just have to be aware that it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a week. But when it does happen, you want to be taking profits out into the greed phase again. So when things are overvalued again, you want to be taking profits into that area. So it's just awareness and letting corrections happen and accumulating the dips and applying technical analysis where you can. Because, you know, I sold 75% of my altcoins off and 50% of my Bitcoin off when the market capitalization was at or around 800 billion. I posted sell signals in the Discord. So this wasn't something I wasn't expecting. And it is something that you should just try to learn from, though, and move forward and buy the dip currently. You know, do not sell here and expect another dip. That's not the type of thinking that you need to do. You need to accumulate panic. Okay. Enough ranting about the market cycles. Let's get requests on altcoins so that we can actually do some TA on alternative coins here. All I'm going to say is that institutional investors are sneaky. So if you feel like they're not getting into the space right now, you're wrong. Because they are definitely getting into this space right now. And they're not going to put in all the volume at once in one day. They're going to be smart, like I'm trying to teach you right here, right now. They're going to accumulate stuff, meaning that they're going to buy little bits as it drops. But they're getting in, trust me. Yeah, when the market's in a huge dip is exactly when you don't want to think that despair is in place. It's the emotional psychology behind it. Everybody and their mom expects another lower low right now. If you go onto Twitter, you go look around, so many people are expecting another lower low, which is actually why it's not going to happen. Because when just like at the top of the market at 20,000, everybody expected more continuation and more higher highs. At the bottom of the market, everybody's expecting lower lows and more panic. So, you know, don't think with the crowd, think against the crowd. Do what everybody else isn't doing and think smart and, like, you know, plan things ahead and keep it into perspective. So let's see. No utility in Bitcoin. Can I buy some coffee with Bitcoin and have to pay capital gains tax? I mean, listen, there's totally utilities for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Like it's literally happening every single day. Like remittances, people send money to each other all the time from countries to another country with cryptocurrency today because banks suck at what they're doing and charge high fees and might not provide service to certain people, right? So there's definitely a utility for Bitcoin. I don't care what anybody says about that, and cryptocurrency as a whole. And that's just one mini minor example of how they're being used right now. So that's a real world utility. All right. Let's check out Theta. I honestly don't know how to pronounce this coin yet, but everybody's been wondering where it's going. This is because this is the coin that is like the co-founder of YouTube made this coin, I believe. So everybody's hyped about this one right now because of that. All right, so when I check out this coin on Theta BTC, you don't have a ton of data on Binance, so let's just see what we can get on CoinMarketCap to see if there's a little bit more data. All right, so this one definitely has more market data. As you can see, the prices have actually had a lot of price action in the past. This looks like accumulation right here. This looks like the first sell-off in a market cycle. This little ABC correction that happened right here between 22 cents and 16 cents. So again, looking at this market cycle chart, looks like the first sell-off. And we can expect more bullish movement to come. So if we just click on this right here. So yeah, this trend is just starting to take off. Do you see how it's rounding upwards? It's starting to push its way up and go parabolic. The more that it rounds up, the higher it's going to go. And as it starts to peak out and as it starts to just go straight up, see how it's rounding right now? As it starts to go straight up, it'll go straight up for a while. And then there'll be a certain point where it can't sustain that growth. It won't be able to go straight up any longer, and it'll have to have a correction. But right now, as the market's rounding upwards, it's very bullish. It's pre-parabolic. So when a market's parabolic, it's going straight up, and it's starting to get overvalued, and you should be taking profits. But pre-parabolic, when it's rounding and accumulating upwards, is when you need to be accumulating it and be preparing for the parabolic movement so you can sell out. So this is before it's really gone straight up, before it's really done its hype cycle. And if you just click on the trading view here, and then we just click on the trend line, we can see that it's also in an ascending triangle pattern currently. Well, some might say symmetrical triangle, some might say an ascending triangle. Looks like a pretty symmetrical triangle, honestly, now that I look at it for a second longer. So the difference between an ascending triangle and a symmetrical, an ascending has a flat top and the bottom ascends up. And a symmetrical triangle means that the top goes down and the bottom goes down. So that's the difference between an ascending triangle pattern and a symmetrical triangle. So yeah, this is expected to break out, especially since we have a lot of volume in this coin and a lot of hype around it. So more upward movement coming on that one for sure. All right. Let's do Ripple XRP. I haven't done this one in a while. This is one of those coins that, you know, going back to me talking about when everything was overvalued, I tweeted out on my Twitter, literally when this coin was worth $3, and I told everybody that it was short-term overvalued and that it was a friendly reminder to take their profits because it needs to drop. That was when it was right here at the exact top of the entire market. So, you know, this is just a prime example. This is what I mean by parabolic right here. This is what that Theta coin is going to do. It's going to go parabolic like this once it breaks out. It's just going to go straight up, and there's a certain point where it can't sustain that growth anymore and it has to correct, right? Now looking back at the market cycle chart, let's click on this Wall Street cheat sheet. And we're just going to learn a thing or two from this chart right here. So I'm just going to copy this image, and I'm going to open up my favorite paint software. And we're going to do some fractal analysis, it's called, meaning that we're going to compare this market cycle to the market cycle that's happening in Ripple. Okay. All right, image, resize, canvas size, height, 2600. Okay, so now I'm almost done here. I'm just getting all the stuff ready. Okay. And shift print screen, Alt. Okay, take this little market cycle and paste this right here. And I encourage you all to do this with your charts so that you can try to learn when to sell and when to buy a little bit easier so that you don't get overwhelmed, because there's a lot of things to get confused, you know, but once you break it down to market cycles and Elliots, it's really pretty simple, honestly. All right, so right here at the top of the market, you have Euphoria. So I'm going to label this as a 1. And then we're going to make this purple or something. Or let's see, let's do green. Or what's an easy standout color? I guess black is good. It just needs to be bigger. 72. All right. And we'll use Arial because it's easy for everybody to read. Okay. So at the very top, I'm going to label this as 1. And then right here where you have the first little sell-off, I'm going to label that as 2. The bull trap, meaning the part where the buyers get overvalued, I'm going to label this as 3. Everybody thinks it's going to keep going up. And then the anger, I'm going to label as 4. The bounce, I'm going to label as 5. And then the depression, I'm going to label as 6. Right? So now that I've identified the market cycle chart on the top, let's compare it to how Ripple is acting in current prices today. So the top right here was at $3. Again, that's 1. I knew this was the top because of the parabolic movement that happened. Then we have this little sell-off right here. See that wick that goes back down? And then you have a bull trap. This bull trap was a little less obvious. Some markets you have a more obvious bull trap. This one was a little less apparent. And then you have anger right here at 4. And then you have the next false bounce right here at 5. And then you have 6 right here. So Ripple has already completed a full market cycle correction. Do you see how those are the same? Do you see how when you compare the way that the market moves to the way that Ripple moved today, how similar they are? Yeah, that's basically how you break down any market cycle in the entire cryptocurrency space, and you count the waves, or the fractal as I like to call it. This is technically not Elliott waves, so I don't know why I said that, but you count each little part of the fractal, the euphoria, the sell-off, the complacency, the anxiety, the anger, the panic, the depression, and then you compare it to market cycles today, and you see the similarities. So Ripple has a high probability, due to market cycle analysis, as being a bottom in place. It's also completed a correction, and a first wave in its correction. So that means that we should be expecting a 3 wave for Ripple. Now, whenever a lot of buying is about to happen, there's a lot of confusion in the market, right? If you notice, a lot of people right now don't really know what's happening. They have taken a lot of money out into the sidelines, and they're like, I don't know what's going to happen. And there's a lot of confusion. You know, ask anybody. A lot of people are confused right now. That's right when all the impulsing is about to happen. So when this impulsing happens in this three wave, we should be, headed back up to resistance levels for Ripple. And these lows, we won't see these lows again for a while, based on my analysis. So. All right, so let's check out LTC. All right, so Litecoin. Let's go into the 3-day. Let's draw some support and resistance lines. So here's our resistance line. And here's our support line. So, first of all, Litecoin has been doing a correction with the rest of the market since the beginning of the year. As far as price action goes from the top to the bottom, if we click on the very top here and pull down, you can see that we corrected about 70% since the beginning of the year. Now, again, since the rest of the market capitalization is a high likelihood to have a bottom in place, Litecoin is as well high likelihood to have a bottom in place, especially if support holds. And as you can see, every time that support has been hitting these levels between $106 and about $110, we've bounced very nicely with Litecoin. So support seems to be strong here. Now again, you have to be open to all possibilities. So if there's a support failure, you need to take some tether on the sidelines and accumulate the dip later. But be aware that it's more likely to have a breakout, and when the breakout happens, we should see some impulsing. And those impulse waves should take us back up above the $200 levels, and we should see more buying to happen in Litecoin for the rest of the year. So just be aware of those two main support and resistance levels, watch them, and make trading plans for both outcomes. But again, the most likely is that we do have a bull break out of this, and we start to have more money coming into it throughout the rest of the year. All right, let's look at BitShares. So BitShares has a very, very nice support trend that it's been riding since 2017, early on in 2017. Right here, just been bouncing off some support, going up. Now, I do see a very, very nice little cup and handle pattern here. So clicking on the arc, go from here to here, here to here, and from here to here. So as you can see, a cup and handle pattern is forming on BitShares currently. We also have a bullish reversal candlestick pattern. This is a bullish engulfing candlestick. You can Google that pattern, and we should expect more buying to happen after that pattern. It did an ABC correction, so that should be the first sell-off in the new market cycle. It already completed this market cycle back when it hit 11 cents. So we are expecting more impulse waves to happen in BitShares as well. For all of the people that don't believe that buying is going to come back into this market, just wait. come back and comment things on my YouTube videos 3 months from now and see how you feel. That's all I'm going to say, because these cycles are very, very, very predictable and very trackable. You can put them out on these charts. You can do TA on them. You can apply them to any of these coins, and you can get very accurate with the direction that it's headed. So in the midst of all the FUD, and in the midst of all the FUD articles that you have all been reading, and all of the fear right now that's been happening, just be aware that that's you being an emotional person over the direction of the price. Just take that out of the picture. It's not good to have that in the equation. Stop worrying about the emotional aspect of the direction and start worrying about how you can manage your emotions and how you can make good trading plans and smart investing decisions so that you're not buying tops and selling bottoms. The easiest way to do this is to accumulate high panic. And that's what we've been seeing in the entire market cap for the past few months. Really, since the beginning of the year, it's all been a corrective phase to accumulate, right? So, just wait and see what happens. And, try to learn from it. Hopefully you can come back from this 3 months from now and try to learn from everything. But if you don't believe that it's going to happen now, you need to look into the emotional psychology that made that decision and see if it was an impulsive emotional decision. See if it was anger or fear or based on any of those human emotions. If you made the decision that it's not going to go up from here based on those things, I'm not biased. I believe that it could go down. I believe it could go up. I don't hold any biased opinion towards the direction of these markets. And I have no emotional attachment to it either. If all of these kept dropping, I've diversified myself in my own life that in a way that I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't have an emotional attachment to that, right? But I am working with what's likely to happen. And so just think about what made you feel that way. Don't be biased to it going down. Don't say there's no way this has to go down, right? Be aware of any option and ask yourself why you made the choice in the direction that you believe the market's headed today. Ask yourself why you feel that way, and then apply the emotional cycles to it, and you'll learn a lot from yourself if you do that. So yeah, BitShares looks great. We're expecting some impulsing on the upside back to more resistance levels here. Support looks like it will hold here at 17 cents. So just watch for that. Again, it could retest this trend line. It could go all the way back down to zero. Anything's possible. I don't have any bias on these charts, but I do tell you what's likely to happen. And we're likely to have support hold and a 3-wave coming. So that's going to be really exciting for BitShares specifically. Yeah, I'm not forcing anybody to buy anything or anybody to sell anything at any time. I'm literally just trying to educate you all so that you can make smart investing decisions. The premise of my YouTube channel is to make investing decentralized and make trading decentralized so the average person can come in and learn how to trade and learn how to invest and make smart decisions, and they don't have to go through a hedge fund. They don't have to go through anybody that's going to take their money or try to manipulate them or make them make a bad decision. I want to bring this information and this knowledge to the world. So that's why I created this YouTube channel. You can do what you want to with your money. In fact, none of this is investment advice. None of it. None of it's actual investment advice. It's just knowledge so that you can apply it. I'm not telling you what to invest in, what not to. I'm giving you my opinion on the market and letting you make your own decisions based on that. So, But yeah, I really love doing this for you guys. It's my passion. You know, I wake up every single morning and my goal is to help people make smart investing decisions. I've seen so many people take my knowledge and make a lot of good money with it. I've helped people, you know, get closer into their retirements early on in their life. And I've just seen so much positivity in this space and in the investing community, and it drives me to make these videos, to do these live streams, to educate you, to try to help everybody do this, because you know, it makes me so happy to see you all making the same decisions I have and seeing the same profits that I have and getting your share of the profits in this space. So all right, so we'll go over one more coin here, and then I'll give you the discounts for VIP if that's something you're interested in, and then we'll call it a day. See y'all next week after that, but we'll do one more coin here. So let's just see. I would argue that emotional market cycles have 100% to do with the prices. In fact, I would argue that fundamentals have next to zero effect on prices, except as an initial catalyst to get people excited about something. So for example, Bitcoin as a technology has great fundamental technology in it, right? But that created a catalyst for people to get too emotionally invested in the price of Bitcoin. So that means the price, the emotional investment in the price, has way more effect on the actual technology behind it. So that's why technical analysis and market cycles works every single time, because you can apply, or the majority of the time, not 100% accuracy, but enough that you stay profiting, right? You can take that and you can apply it to the market, because it's an emotional decision, and it's not based on what the technology does. If it was what the technology did, then Dogecoin wouldn't hit $1 billion in market cap. Yes, there's a huge point to this market. Buy and hold and don't get caught in the short-term cycles. When this starts impulsing upwards, it's going to impulse hard and quickly. So, you know, don't get stuck in the little short-term moves right now. Buy good coins with high volume and hold them, you know, and think for the next month or two from now. And you'll make money on it, so that you actually don't get stuck up in short-term expectations. That's one thing people really need to learn from. It's don't set too much short-term expectation for yourself. Set long-term expectations that are reasonable. You know, tell yourself that within a year you can make 1,000% profit trading crypto. Anybody can do that. I promise you that. If you focus on big picture moves and you manage your risk, and you don't get stuck up in short-term expectations or get-rich-quick schemes like BitConnect. Don't think get-rich-quick. Think education, think goal-oriented, and be reasonable with yourself, and think big picture. But yeah, no, so let's do into the ADA. We'll do some ADA TA as the last one here. ADA, BTC, Cardano, Bitcoin, ADA. So ADA is doing that same pattern that I was talking about earlier, the cup and handle pattern that BitShares made. From the left here to the right here, you have a cup. From the left here to the right here, you have a handle. And you can test this pattern to make sure it's true by going from the low to the high. And as you can see, it found support at the .618 Fibonacci. That confirms that the cup and handle pattern is valid. This has been heavily accumulated. It's one of the top monthly volume rankings. Broke out of a falling wedge pattern and formed another falling wedge pattern after that and broke out of it. So Cardano should start impulsing as well. Now, in 3 waves, which is what we're expecting for all of the market to come, impulse happens quickly, very quickly. So if the market holds support and does the 3-wave as I'm expecting, then this is going to impulse to a new local high and go above the high of 4,000 Satoshis and impulse to a new local high over a very short period of time. So that's my TA for Cardano. Cup and handle after a falling wedge pattern. It looks really good. All right. So yeah, thank you so much for you all tuning in to today's live stream. I hope that you've been learning from this content. Next week will probably be a from start to finish technical analysis video, so you can go to my Twitter and request what coins you want me to do technical analysis on next week. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate everybody that's willing to take my channel and learn from it and try to apply it to their trading and, you know, get more profitable in this space. If you want to check out my VIP course, you can go to my website, highaltitudecrypto.io. Links are in the description right here. And you can watch my video. You can just press play video right here if you like. Or you can scroll down and get more specific information on my 3 products if you want to get more hands-on with the learning aspect of this and get exact buy and sell signals for all of these coins. So you can head down here and compare the differences between the year, the lifetime, the mastermind. The 1 year is a great little way to get into this. Also, if you want, the TradingView course is amazing. It's only $99 for beginners, and you can get a 20% discount is in the description right here. Active 20 will get you 20% off at checkout if you're interested in getting the absolute basics of using TradingView so that you can apply it and start to get your trading a little bit better, do some paper trading so that you don't have to put real money in, and you can learn how to do this before you start putting too much of your real money in or risking too much of your actual personal capital. And so that's a really great spot to start, is a TradingView course, but you can just click on here, go to the shop if you're interested, add to cart, and then you can just click on this little cart in the right hand side here and apply that coupon code to the cart right here. You just type in active 20, apply coupon, and as you can see, the price has been reducted 20% off of its value. So you can do that with anything in the shop, and you can check out my courses there as well. It's a great way to get learning this and you know, follow my signals so that you can trade along with me and profit off all of this as well. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Again, I appreciate all of you, and stay profitable out there.